It was supposed to be a perfect summer Saturday. The grill was hot, the kids were chasing each other in the yard, and the smell of barbecue ribs filled the air. For my family, these backyard cookouts weren't just about food, they were about tradition. We'd lost my father a few years back, and every barbecue was a way of keeping his spirit alive. But apparently, not everyone saw it that way. If you like true stories where ordinary folks stand up for themselves, make sure to subscribe. You won't want to miss what happens when justice is served fresh and hot. We lived in a modest neighborhood where most people waved, borrowed sugar, and minded their own business. Except for Karen. She was the self-appointed guardian of the block. If a lawn wasn't mowed by Friday, she called it a disgrace. If someone parked 2 inches too close to the curb, she left notes in thick red marker. I'd had my share of run-ins with her before, but I never thought she'd come after something as innocent as a family barbecue. Halfway through grilling, I heard her shrill voice cutting through the laughter, "You can't have open flames. It's against safety codes." I looked up from the grill, tongs in hand. "Karen, it's a backyard barbecue. I've got a fire extinguisher right here." She stormed closer, arms crossed. "You're risking the whole neighborhood. I'm reporting this." My wife rolled her eyes. "For heaven's sake, Karen. It's ribs, not arson." Within 20 minutes, we heard sirens. 2 fire trucks rolled down our street, lights flashing, neighbors peeking out their windows. My heart sank. I didn't want to ruin the evening for everyone. Kids stopped playing, staring wide-eyed. Karen strutted behind them like a general leading her troops. "See? I told you. I told you he was endangering us all." I braced myself as the fire chief stepped off the truck. He pulled off his helmet and walked straight toward me. Then he grinned. "Hey, nephew. Smells like ribs." The whole yard went silent. My kids burst out laughing. Karen's mouth dropped open so far I thought she might swallow her own words. "Uncle Mark?" I said, smiling with relief. "Thought I'd stop by since we got the call. Figured it was you. I could smell your famous sauce from 3 blocks away." Karen sputtered, her face turning crimson. "Why, you know him?" Chief Mark raised an eyebrow. "He's my nephew. And by the looks of it, everything here is perfectly safe. Extinguisher ready, grill under control, textbook safety." Karen tried again. But open flames aren't allowed." Mark shook his head. "Wrong. Backyard grills are absolutely allowed under county code, as long as precautions are taken. And my nephew knows what he's doing." Laughter rippled through the neighbors watching. One shouted, "Guess the barbecue's approved, Karen." Another called, "Maybe you should join us instead of calling 911. Karen's glare could have set fire to the lawn. She turned on her heel and stomped away, muttering about reckless people. The fire crew stuck around, not for enforcement, but for food. Uncle Mark clapped me on the back. "Got enough for the boys?" I laughed. "Always. Grab a plate." That night, what could have been a disaster turned into one of the best gatherings we'd ever had. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Karen wasn't the type to let embarrassment stop her. And sure enough, a new wave of letters and complaints started rolling in. The HOA claimed my frequent cookouts were a nuisance, citing smoke and noise. They threatened fines if I continued. My wife read one of the letters aloud at the dinner table. Apparently, laughter is now a violation. The kids groaned. I clenched my fists but forced a smile. I had to think carefully. Karen had already lost face once, but if I handled this wrong, she'd just double down. This time, I decided to use her own obsession with rules against her. I began studying the HOA bylaws, page by page. Most of it was dense legal jargon, but one section stood out: community events with prior notice and approval are permitted. A light bulb went off. If Karen could call her complaints by the book, so could I. At the next HOA meeting, I stood up calmly. "I'd like to schedule a recurring community event," I announced. Karen narrowed her eyes. "What sort of event?" monthly neighborhood barbecues. Open to everyone. Safe, family-friendly, in full compliance with HOA bylaws. The board members exchanged glances. Technically, I was right. They couldn't deny it without looking petty. Reluctantly, they approved, with Karen fuming in her chair. The following Saturday, I fired up the grill again. But this time, it wasn't just my family. Neighbors poured into the yard with side dishes, drinks, and folding chairs. Kids ran freely, laughter echoed, and the smell of barbecue spread like a festival. Even Uncle Mark stopped by off-duty, shaking hands and sharing stories. "Now this is a community," he said. Karen showed up, of course, standing across the street with her arms folded. Someone handed her a plate, but she refused. The crowd didn't mind, they were too busy enjoying themselves. Midway through the evening, one of the board members whispered to me, "You've outsmarted her. She can't complain about an official community event." I nodded, watching Karen glare from her porch like a storm cloud that couldn't rain. The turning point came when the local paper caught wind of our gatherings. A reporter showed up, writing an article about neighbors building unity through monthly barbecues. The piece included a photo of me, my family, and yes, even the fire chief, smiling over the grill. When the article ran, Karen's defeat was sealed. She had tried to paint me as reckless, but instead, I became the face of community spirit. At the next HOA meeting, she exploded. "This is ridiculous. He's using the rules against us." One board member replied dryly, "Isn't that what you always do?" The room chuckled. Karen's face burned red as she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. From that day forward, the HOA stopped bothering me about barbecues. The monthly gatherings continued, growing bigger each time. What started as a family tradition became a neighborhood tradition. The best moment came when my granddaughter tugged my sleeve during one of the barbecues and said, "Grandpa, you made everyone friends again." I smiled, lifting her onto my lap. Sometimes standing up to one person can bring everyone else together. The moral was simple: dignity isn't just about winning your own battles, it's about building something better in the process. Karen tried to report us, but all she did was spark a fire of community that not even she could put out. And every time I light the grill, I think of my father, my family, and the neighbors who stood with me. Justice, it turns out, sometimes smells like smoked ribs and fresh laughter.